So I recently got the new A7 IV, but I'm gonna be changing some settings in there before I start using the camera. So let's talk about those. Hello Epic YouTubers, Mike here, and today I'm gonna be talking about a few settings that I'm gonna be changing before I start using my A7 IV. It could be a little bit personal preference on these settings that I touch, but hopefully these will actually help you guys too. So let's jump right in. Okay, so just to let you know that the A7 IV has a new dial where you can switch between still and movie mode and SNQ. And just a reminder that whenever you're on a certain mode, the settings menu might a little bit look different. So we're just gonna start off with a still mode. The first thing I'm gonna be changing is going to be the power setting option. So go to the setup, which is the yellow button on the way bottom. From there, you go to number 9, which is going to be power setting option. And then here you want to change the auto power off temperature to high. As a default, it's set to standard, but you want this high because it will get a high temperature warning so fast if you just leave it on standard. And I never had, camera going bad or anything when I left it on high. So if you want your camera to have a little bit more heat resistant, I guess you want to leave this high. And the second thing that I wanted to change is still inside the setup menu. This time you want to go to number 3, operation customize, and you go to different set for still and movies. So basically what this does is it checks the settings that you want to have it separate from your still to movie mode. That way, it will be totally different settings on both, because there's no point if the settings are going to carry over from stills to movie mode. So for me, I want aperture, shutter speed, ISO, exposure compensation, metering mode, picture profile different from my still to movie menu, because I'll be using different shutter speed or ISO and all that stuff. So I want these things different when I'm switching from still to movie. White balance, I just wanted to keep it the same, because usually, let's say if I'm shooting still, then I all of a sudden want to shoot video. Most of the time the lighting is going to be the same, so I'm just going to keep white balance unchecked. Just a reminder, let's say you left your white balance in auto, but let's say while you're shooting, let's say photo, you locked your white balance while you have auto white balance on, and then you move to the movie mode, that auto white balance lock won't carry. So you basically have to lock it again. So it will be best to actually use like an actual, maybe sunny or cloudy or any Kelvin value. That way you actually carry over. So the third one that I wanted to change is still in setup menu, but this time it's on 7, finder and monitor. So let's go back. As a default, the display quality is set to standard. I want to change that to high because I want to see the best image possible through my LCD and EVF. So I'm going to change this to high, and also finder frame rate, I want to have it high so I can see the movement quick through the finder. So when you change this to high, basically the display quality will get grayed out. But there's a catch. If you change this to high, you will sacrifice a little bit of your battery runtime, I guess. I don't know exactly how much it's going to be using, but I'll rather have higher, better quality image than battery life. The next one is going to be in a different section. It's going to be in exposure, and you go to 6, colors and tone, and you're gonna see something called D-range optimizer. As a default, the DRO is set to auto, but I'm gonna set it to off. So what this does is it actually applies to your JPEG image. So if you're shooting JPEG and RAW at the same time, and when you have this on, it will actually trying to lift up the shadows to make the image have more dynamic range. This is bad because it only applies to your JPEG. So even though you see, correctly exposed image, when you see the raw image, it's gonna look way underexposed. A lot of people had problem while shooting Sony, where they correctly expose the shot, but when they go to the raw file, it looked way underexposed. It's because that the derange optimizer is on, so your JPEG looks correctly exposed while your raw is underexposed. So just to see the correct exposure on my image, I am going to be turning that off. The last one is going to be in the movie mode. So let's come out from the photo menu and let's switch your dial to the movie mode. And then let's go back to the menu. Here is going to be in shooting, which is this red camera looking button, and go to 11, which is shooting display. And then I'm gonna be changing this emphasize record display to on. It's defaulted to off, but I'll be changing it to on. So what this does is if you start shooting and recording in movie, you're gonna see a boundary, red boundary, indicating that you are recording. So this way you know for sure it is recording. So it's just something that is easy to see, which is gonna help you out. So I'm gonna be talking about two other settings, which is new in Sony A7 IV, which is the anti-dust shutter cover. I don't even know if that's the right term. And another thing is focus breathing compensation. These two features are new to Sony A7 IV, but these are defaulted to off. So I just wanted to show you where you can find these two settings if you are going to change it later on. The lens compensation is in movie. It's in movie menu, and then it's in image quality, and then go to lens compensation. Here you will see focus breathing compensation. Right now it says invalid with this lens. So obviously it only works with a certain lens. For instance, this 35G Master, you see this focus breathing right here. So when I use this lens, it will actually have that option for me to turn on. If you guys don't know what focus breathing is, I made a video. I'll link it. I'll just put it here or link it down in the description. So take a look at that. And let's go to the other setting, which is the anti-dust setting. This is in the settings menu. This thing is, you can find it either on your movie or still mode. So go to settings, go to settings and go to 13, which is setup options, anti-dust function, and it's defaulted to off. But you can change this to on, then your camera will have the shutter closed, protecting the sensor whenever you turn off your camera. Okay, so those are the few settings that I'm going to be changing on my Sony A7 IV before I start using it. Obviously, I'm going to be changing a whole bunch of stuff down the road, but these are like my 5 essential things that I'm going to be changing before I start using it. Let me know if there's any other settings that might help me out that I didn't mention. And that's it for today. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. And if it did, please give me a like and subscribe if you guys want to see more A7 IV content down the road or any, camera related stuff. And until then, I'll see you guys later. Peace.